Bang, bang, bang. Bang, 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 bang. Aren't you going to get the door, Mike?
No, I think I'm watching the TV right now.
Bang, 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 bang.
Breaking news. Serial killer Cletus Cassidy has broken out of prison. I, Eddie Brock, am wondering about Cletus. He's probably going to come for me. I should try calling my detective friend, boss guy.
Bang, 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 bang.
Oh, God. A knock at the door. Is it too late for me already?
Bang, 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 bang.
I wouldn't have expected him to arrive so soon.
My name is Nate.
My name is Mike.
And what the hell was that?
Oh, what the hell was that?
A really disappointing movie.
I mean, sure. Yeah, disappointing.
For me, anyway.
What were you hoping for?
I don't know. I didn't have high expectations because I saw the first one,
right.
And it was also kind of a letdown. But I don't know if I'd say disappointment because I expected great things, but disappointed because I wanted better things.
Right. I could see that. I don't know what it was about this movie, but I watched this movie and got like a palpable anger within me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, dude, why do we let movies like this like make it to the screen? Like, why do we do this? Oh, it's so awful.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's kind of like a culmination of a lot of things that we like talk about a lot. Like for example, like the thing we talked about in Jungle Cruise about like kind of improv-y feel of like, yeah, just let the actors have fun, you know? It's like, it felt like a lot of that, and they were just like way too much of an effort to just like shoehorn in comedy.
Yeah.
That like had no basis being there.
This movie has convinced me that like the job, like the entire field of like if your job title is comedy writer, I'm pretty sure it's one big fucking scam at this point. Like I'm pretty sure it's a giant farce. Like there's no I have never, ever had anything produced, at least knowingly, by a quote-unquote comedy writer that has made me, like, laugh. No, I just don't know. At least all the things that I've seen that have, like, produced genuine, like, joy and laughter within me, I think if you asked, like, the person who created it what they are, I don't think they would say, oh, I'm a comedy writer.
Yeah. This movie was so confusing to me. I don't know if this was just because I was, again, so, like, disappointed that I was just, like, kind of thinking about that the whole time rather than paying full attention.
Fair.
But, yeah, whenever characters would talk, there are a lot of ways this can be interpreted, and I mean all of them. I couldn't understand anything. Like, I couldn't understand, like, the way people talked in that, like, the voice for Venom is obnoxious and annoying. And Tom Hardy talks weird. And like, so there's that.
I look forward to your letters.
And then to add to that, they just like, whenever they would speak, it was just like nonsense. Like it was like, I just couldn't follow it. Like it really felt like every piece of dialogue felt like the writers were like, this is a funny one-liner. And then it was like, okay, now the other character will respond in another funny, in air quotes, one-liner that like doesn't make sense as like a conversation or any kind of back and forth to be had.
Well, it's not funny.
That too.
It's so bad. Like I seriously, oh, it's so awful. Like, if anyways, I wish I just had a fucking transcript for the film so I could, like, run through with a highlighter and just go through the list of fucking lines they thought were, like, fucking comedy gold or some shit. I seriously don't get it. I don't know. I don't know how many years of, like, people trying to, like, boil down comedy to, like, a math type, like, oh, and then we insert, like, joke here and it's funny because, like, we followed the rules of comedy or whatever the fuck. But it has failed for, honestly, decades now. And so I really just, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I honestly think the problem is that, like, the industry perpetuates itself now. So you don't have to make anything good. And here we are. Like, we buy tickets to it. Like, I don't know. Like, I saw the little, like, headline thing that was just like, Venom 3 is inevitable, due to the success in box office ticket sales for this movie here. And I just thought, like, fuck, I'm contributing to it.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, like, I am perpetuating this. We're all perpetuating this. What are we doing?
I don't understand why, like, every single line and character interaction had to be, like, written as some kind of joke. Like, I can't think of, like, any character interaction that, like, didn't have some, like, just like, oh, this is gonna make the audience laugh kind of, like, energy to it.
It was interesting because I was just gonna my whole bit was like they introduced Carnage, and I was like, all right, let's start the clock for when Carnage makes like a Venom style like joke where like they make Carnage do like a cutesy joke thing.
Yeah.
And it was pretty close to the end. But they did it. I was like, oh my God, for a second I was like, is Carnage gonna like do like bits like Venom's fucking do? Like is Carnage gonna do like a fucking bit? And he did. He did a bit at the end. And I was just like, okay, oh fuck. Here we are. I think I don't know what it is. I don't know when Venom, because you know, like Venom has that kind of comedic energy to him. At least my understanding of Venom, which comes 100% from the PS1 Spider-Man game.
Yeah, I mean,
when you like invade like the newspaper office level and Venom's there, and you're fighting symbiotes, and Venom's on top of like a copy machine, and he goes, "I'm surfing the web." And
well, hey, they did some web surfing this.
Didn't they?
Yeah, I don't know. I was not a fan of
the thing is,
any
like,
aspect.
It was incredibly campy, but the problem is there was no intention on anybody's part, I don't think, to make this campy.
I don't know. I disagree. I think they were going full camp.
No, I think it was campy. But I feel like if you were to talk to anybody in the writer's room about what it is, I don't know what the fuck they would think. Seriously, I don't... I'm so confused about what they're going for. And, you know, maybe this is the bit. Like, maybe this is the thing. Maybe I'm the fool for thinking that anybody who writes a movie that's coming out with the budget that this movie has any care in the world to create anything coherent. Because they know people are going to come watch it in the box office, and it doesn't have to be sensible at all, and they just got to crack it out, and then it'll perform enough to warrant a third one, and then they'll do it all over again.
Well, I think another thing, I was thinking about this during, like, the prison scene, but this movie was rated PG-13. It might even be PG, but I'm pretty sure it's PG-13.
Okay.
I remember when the first movie was being made, the first Venom movie, a lot of people were really hoping that it was going to be rated R. Because that was following Deadpool and Logan. Right. So it wouldn't, you know, it's not completely out of the question for superhero movies to be rated R at this point.
Right.
And Venom is, like, to some extent, kind of like a brutal character. And a lot of people, again, hoped that it would be, like, a little bit more gruesome and stuff. And then, you know, the news came out that it was PG-13 and people were upset, blah, 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 blah. But, end of the story, it was PG-13. And this is also PG-13. And, you know, the reason for that is to get more people to see it. Because, of course, you know, there's limitations and stuff when you have a rating that's rated R. But my thought when watching this... Okay, with a Venom movie, you have two routes you can go, right? You can go brutal, eating people off the streets, extremely graphic.
Right.
Or you can go, like, super comical, you know? And they couldn't get the R rating, so they have to do one or the other.
Right. But they didn't go, at least with this movie, like, they introduced Carnage. Like, Carnage. Like, the name of the character is Carnage. And they don't have the ability to make it gruesome?
I mean, they don't. Well, anyway, I feel like we've kind of talked a lot about kind of like summarized thoughts. Do you want to get into some plots here?
Sure, if we can try to recount it. I don't remember too much of it, but what's really nice is that I'm pretty sure this is a completely, like, boilerplate movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that even if we, without knowing, like, all the story beats, I think we'll be able to
yeah, I'll try to extrapolate from, like, how movies go if I had to, like, just kind of freewheel one. So we'll try to do it like that.
Okay, so I believe it opens up with a flashback type dealio to 1996 to a, like, school for destitute children, essentially.
No, they don't. It's not destitute. I mean, that's where my grandfather was. No, this school is for unwanted children, as we learn. Unwanted children.
And in this school for unwanted children, we see two teenagers, close to adults.
I'll say
Not quite children, I'd
Sure.
say. Anyway, in like what can only be described as like cells.
Right.
And so we see a young man who is a young Cletus Cassidy, who is somehow putting a like ring made of hair through a pipe.
Right.
That then gets brought over to another neighboring cell where a young lady is.
Yes.
And Cletus says to the young lady, this is for you. You're my true light. I love you. And then is like, what did the people say? Or something like that. I guess she had some kind of like visit with some person.
Or hearing or something.
And she goes, my powers are too strong. They're going to take me away to some other place with more people like me. He's like, they can't do that. But then they do that.
Yeah.
So she gets shoved into a police van type thingy where there's an officer in the back with her. And she says, any last words, right?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Any last words or something like that. And then she does a banshee screech that is her superpower, I guess. And
I think her character's name is...
I think it's Shriek.
Is it really?
I think so.
I think somebody said it was Banshee.
I know there is a character named Banshee, but I saw people in reviews saying Shriek. I don't know if they're different characters. But so she uses her Banshee-like powers, and the guard police dude gets incapacitated to some extent and pulls out his gun. As they struggle, and then bam, she gets shot, and her body falls out of the car. And then he's like, my work here is done.
And my ear is crippled.
Yeah. And then we see a bandaged head belonging to that same young lady as she wakes up in a glass box.
Yes.
And is surrounded by, like, scientist type people who are like, you're in here now.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. They hold the specially gifted hostage, or just superpowered criminals, whatever you want to call it. So they're like, hey, you're trapped now. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha.
Haha?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then the weirdly sadistic doctor says, your boyfriend is gonna get put to death or something like that.
I bet that sucks.
Yeah.
Seems like it sucks for you. Cry for me.
And then she just kind of
and
goes back to sleep.
She's upset because the doctor's being instigatory towards her for some fucking reason.
And then I believe we see Eddie Brock, our hero protagonist.
Yep.
Then we see Eddie Brock, and he's in this like police type place. What's the police station or something? I don't know. And the detective pretty much just lays it out for us. He's like, well, Brock, your life was pretty shitty in the end of the last movie for those of the people in the audience who haven't seen it.
Right.
But you're doing all right now, aren't you? Okay, well, that Cletus Cassidy fella only wants to talk to you for some reason.
Right.
And he's like, well, I don't want to talk to him. And he says, well, that's too bad. Go talk to him.
He wants to talk to you, so go do it, bud. I'll try to get some clues, some help us out,
And then Venom, the symbiote Venom, like his head comes out of Eddie Brock.
Symbiote Venom as opposed to what?
I don't know. As opposed to the collective of Venom and Eddie Brock,
okay,
I guess.
Okay, right.
So just Venom, his head comes out of Eddie Brock and kind of arches over towards the detective, who does not see this happening. And Eddie Brock has to immediately pull him back and, no, you don't eat heads of people, okay? And then they have a little confrontation in the ladies' restroom while the detective is like, huh? And then a lady in the restroom is like, huh?
Right.
And
and it was just so funny I forgot to mention. Oh, it was so funny.
Especially because it made
my
it sound
God.
like he was telling himself to be quiet while he was trying to poop in the
Oh
bathroom.
my God, that
Oh my
was
God,
so
that was hilarious.
Funny. That was so fucking funny. Oh my Christ.
Please be quiet. Shh. Oh man, it's so funny.
Hey, oh my God. So you're gonna make me start laughing all over again. It's great.
Yeah, so then I guess they then cut to seeing Cletus Cassidy, right?
Yes.
Cletus Cassidy is a serial killer, by the way, and he's like, why'd you want to see me? And he's like, I want to see you because I want you to print this poem. And he's like, what? He's like, I print this in the newspaper as your headline, and then I'll give you my whole life story.
Yeah, exclusive.
And you'll get big famous write-up, and you'll be famous, and your career will do well. So don't you want that? Yeah, I bet you do. Okay, so just print this thing for me.
What is it? Go ahead. So what's the poem?
Cathedral, darkness, cathedral, go to the cathedral.
Is that your legitimate try?
Yeah, I mean that's more or less what it boiled down to.
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to remember it. It's like that old cathedral. All I see, fractured angel.
All that I see, fractured angel.
Like come back to me or something like that. It doesn't rhyme. It's not tidy like that, I don't think. But yeah, I'm going that old cathedral. All I see, fractured angel, come back to me.
And then Eddie Brock's like, okay, I'm gonna leave now.
Right.
And then he starts walking out. And then Venom, who
Wait.
So Mike and I were trying to figure this out. I think we kind of did. However, there was one part that kind of broke this rule that I will talk about. But essentially, I believe that it was established in the other movie is that, of course, Venom is not like a specter or a ghost or something. Like he is a being that can be like seen and stuff.
Right.
When he's like out and about and not hiding in Eddie.
Right.
But when he communicates with Eddie, when you hear him talk, he is not speaking aloud. Like they share some kind of like psychic type of link since he is like inhabiting Eddie's body.
Right.
So when we as an audience hear Venom talk, only Eddie is hearing that interaction.
Right.
So I think that's the case.
Yes. Unless Venom is actively speaking through Eddie.
Yeah.
Then only Eddie understands Venom.
So anyway, then Eddie then tries to leave, but then Venom stops him and is like, oh, look over there at Cletus's cell. And so he does. And there are plenty of things sprawled all over the wall, including...
You know how crazy people do.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like cut straight out of the crazy person textbook.
Okay.
Yeah. And that there's a cathedral of all things. And they take note of this and leave.
Yes, they do. So they go back to Eddie's apartment where Venom's like, okay, I'm gonna draw out some of the essential information for you. But, like, Venom draws out a bunch of stuff and it's like, all right, Eddie, you see it? And Eddie's like, no, I don't quite see it. But he doesn't say that. He says something that is just so funny. And then Venom is like, all right, let's try again. So he draws the cathedral and he's like, all right, do you see it yet, Eddie? And Eddie doesn't see it, but he does say something that's just
A house.
so funny. And then after that, he draws a tree with like a carving in it or something like that. And he's like, do you get my point yet? And Eddie doesn't get it yet, but again, he just says something that just thinking about it, it's so funny. And then oh my god, sorry, I'm making myself back up here. All right, so
and
then,
you say you're no actor.
so then Venom draws something out. It's like he draws like a hillside in California or something, someplace.
He draws like essentially like lines like on what is like kind of like an overhead projector type thing.
Yeah.
And then he like takes over Eddie's hands and like types into fake Google and is
Google.
Yeah, I don't know. It's some kind of landscape, blah 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 blah.
Right.
And then he pulls up a photo and then lays the overhead projector type thing that he drew on over top of it. And he's like, "Oh, see, this place is the place that Cletus Cassidy was talking about."
Where he hides bodies. He wasn't talking about it, but he just saw it scrawled on the wall and knew where it was, and so he Googled it to show Eddie.
So Venom identifies the place that Cletus Cassidy pointed out but was keeping secret in order to get his message out or something.
I honestly don't think he was trying to reveal it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was kind of trying to keep his cards close to his chest.
Right.
And he was like, "Yeah, I'll give you information, but first you got to do this thing for me."
Right. And then Venom's like, "Actually, look, he just scrawled all his crimes on the wall."
Yeah, exactly. Look, he sprawled a confession into the wall.
Right. It's just like the first paragraph is just like, "My bodies," you say. Oh, it is a tale I've been meaning to tell.
Well, pretty much, because then it like once we see like the landscape, it does like a transition that we are then in that exact landscape. And it's like, "Tell me, Eddie Brock, we found the bodies that Cletus Cassidy killed. Must be pretty great for you, huh?"
He killed the bodies.
Yeah, he killed those bodies.
He killed those bodies, all right.
Yeah. So yeah, they were dead.
What?
And then they were found.
Thanks to Eddie Brock, but really Venom.
Then there's like a newscast where the newscaster's like, "Well, the bodies of victims, the body of victims from serial killer Cletus Cassidy have been found. In fact, the governor has lifted the restriction on capital punishment for this one instance."
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so then he gets put on death row, which apparently had been abolished, but they were like, "You know what? We're bringing it back, limited time only."
Yeah, I suppose I see that. Okay, I get that now.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. I thought he personally was just having a stay on his death until he confesses or whatever.
That could have been it as well.
I don't know. I like yours though. I like the idea that
his acts were so egregious that they were like, "All right, this is terrible. We can admit that this is inhumane and unconstitutional.
Yeah.
But fuck this guy. Am I right?"
State-sanctioned killings are okay in this case. So Cletus is all like, "Rah!" and starts writing a letter.
And Banshee Lady, Shriek, or whatever her name is, gets a newspaper from the sadistic doctor lady, and it's like, "Oh, look, your boyfriend's actually going to death row now. How does it feel?" And she's like, "No!" While Cletus just punches a wall while also going, "No!"
Yeah, because he's just fucking pissed.
Yeah. So then we start to have the conflict between Venom and Eddie.
Yeah.
This is kind of interesting. This was the one aspect that I kind of enjoyed. I didn't like the execution of it.
Right.
But I liked the concept of it.
Sure.
It was very much kind of like Spider-Man 2-esque to me, where it's like similar to Spider-Man. Crazy how there are parallels, right, to these two characters.
What are you talking? No, why?
So, with Spider-Man in Spider-Man 1, you have Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man, and he takes on the mantle. I am Spider-Man. And then when Spider-Man 2 comes along, he's like, "Wait, am I Spider-Man? Or am I Peter Parker? I want to be Peter Parker. I don't want to just be Spider-Man."
Right.
And, so on and so forth. And the whole movie, and why Spider-Man 2 is regarded as such a good movie, is because of the conflict of man versus self, and having to choose between these types of things.
Right.
And similarly here, in the first movie, you can only assume, and I can only try to remember. I think that Eddie and Venom, that they became pretty comfortable with each other. They were like, "This is our calling. This is what we are to do."
Sure.
But there obviously comes complications with that, which do somewhat get explored. Where Venom is an alien that just straight up needs certain things to survive that might not exactly fall in line with what Eddie feels comfortable to do with his moral compass. So I really like the idea of exploring, like, okay, how are we going to work this out? Is it possible for us to work this out while A, keeping you alive, but also not doing things that are going to A, just completely blow our cover, or B, just be morally questionable? And I liked that concept but I just didn't like the way they handled it per se.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that, I don't know. I like the concept because that's a pretty common concept.
Yeah.
And so I'm a big fan of those types of stories, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, like, I didn't feel... Yeah, I mean, yeah. To say it concisely, yeah, I like the concept in theory. I don't like how they did it here. And, you know, if we're going to get into that, we can get into that. But right now, maybe we chug on with the plot, and we'll revisit
All
this.
right.
We'll talk about more about that.
But yeah, so anyway, now following Eddie's big break in the story of Cletus Cassidy and such,
right.
and having a bunch of, I guess, fame and money that is just implied, because it's often mentioned in this movie as well. It was like, oh, things were bad for me, and then things were good, but like things don't really change as far as like as we as the audience see.
Yeah.
But that's neither here or there right now. So Eddie is doing all right.
Right.
But Venom is having a problem because Venom needs to feed on things.
Yeah, he needs to murder.
And Eddie does not want to murder anybody for several reasons. And so the two of them...
really just one.
No, there's two.
What's the two?
The moral questionability of murdering people, and also the fact that the FBI is like onto them, I guess, from what happened in the last movie.
Right.
So you didn't want to blow their cover.
Right. Okay, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, so they
yep.
are trying to remedy this, and in order to do so, they go to Mrs. Chen's place to get chocolate, which Mrs. Chen was a character in the last movie.
Okay.
And yeah, so chocolate and chicken is what satiates him as an alternative to brains.
Well, is what he's eating, but chocolate is the only one of those two that has the specific chemical he's talking about contained in the human brains that satiates him. So, like, he's been feeding him the chickens, but they mention, I forget what they said, but, like, Venom's talking about how there's some chemical that's only in human brains and chocolate, and that's why he has to eat a bunch of chocolate if he's not going to eat human brains, because this chemical is very important for his health.
Yeah. So they go to Miss Chen's to get some chocolate, and she doesn't have chocolate. And funny interactions.
Oh.
Ha.
All right, yeah. Oh, I got it. It was so funny.
But then they need to do something. So then they go out on the town and go to get some chickens. And then they get some chickens, and then Venom says, you know what? Fuck this, actually. I don't want to eat chickens. And so then he finds a lady getting mugged, and then he almost eats the man mugging her, but then has a moment of hesitation and doesn't. And then they are on a rooftop, and then he turns back into Eddie Brock, and then is hanging on a ledge, and then he gets a phone call from, again, a lover from the previous movie or something that clearly did not end with them being together. And she's like, hey, Eddie, do you have time to talk or meet up? Oh, wait, you sound out of breath. Are you busy? Oh, I'm just hanging around.
Oh my god, I've never heard that before. That's such a good line.
They really just like they're so quick to go for the lowest hanging fruit.
I just all the times I've been thinking like, man, how many times have I seen characters like hang off stuff, and I've just never like no one's ever made that joke, but it's incredible, man. I don't know how they came up with it. Like, it seems so obvious in retrospect, but like, man, it took us this long to get such a it's so clear.
And so
genius.
Then
genius.
Eddie and the lady Annie, I think is her name.
It's not just Anne.
Anne, I think that's
I'm going
that's
Anne.
Right. Yeah. So Eddie and Anne make plans to meet up like the next night or something like that, or at some point. And then flash forward to them meeting, and they're at a fancy restaurant, and she asks him some questions, I guess, of how are you? You know, typical fanfare. And then she's just like, well, I guess there's no other way to say it. Boom, and pulls out her engagement ring that's on her finger.
Right.
And then Venom, via internal monologue of Eddie and Eddie, go back and forth of conflicted feelings and anger and such. Yeah. And then she says, "Is that Venom with you?" And he's like, "No, he died. Remember?" And she's like, "Okay. Well, Venom, something.
Something.
And then Eddie's like, I gotta go. I'm not. There's someone chopping onions in here.
Yeah, I really don't know what it is, because like Venom is like telling him at the very end, like, oh cry, that'll be a good move. She'll feel real sorry for you. Like, do it. And I don't know if him leaving is supposed to be like him like doing that bit, or if he's. I don't know.
I think he was just like, I'm getting out of here.
I don't know.
Anyway, he's clearly pretty shook up by this, and he's riding his motorcycle, and he's being very reckless on it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to die.
He really is. Like, whatever, dude.
Yeah. And then Venom's like, well,
bad.
I can't let you do that, so no.
Yeah, stupid.
Yeah.
So stupid.
And then,
oh my god.
Then another
I'm offended if somebody wants to die.
God, it's unfortunate how many times on this podcast we've been like, take it from someone who wants to kill himself.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, maybe it hits a certain point. Oh god damn. They do a disservice though. Like, what the fuck was it?
Do.
Where it's like, no, it's not even worth it anymore. It's like, oh, fucking A, dude. Like, oh my god. Whatever. Like, it's this dude talking about how, like, he's fallen off the edge of, like, the hopeless abyss and, like, heartbreak with all the energy of, like, a 16-year-old in an argument with their parents. It's the fucking worst. Where Venom's just like, you're driving recklessly, you're gonna die. And, like, he's just like, you're not gonna let me die anyway. It's like,
he's like, well, you're right.
Whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah, and so then we get another hilarious scene where Venom tries to cheer him up while he is depressed.
Oh my god, he's making a break. He's not very good at it at all.
Oh man.
Oh, he's singing show too. Oh my Christ.
And he's not on time.
No, it's
you can't write this stuff, really.
Oh, it was so funny. Oh my god, so lighthearted too. It was a side of Venom I really thought I'd get to see, but oh my god, am I so glad they brought it out.
But Venom, in his attempts to make Eddie feel better, he uses his long extending symbiote arm to go down and grab the mail, and he brings the mail up to Eddie. And there's a postcard for Eddie in there.
Yes.
And he reads it, and it's from none other than Cletus Cassidy.
Huh. Who?
Cletus Cassidy.
What does he do? Who's he?
I think he's a serial killer or something. I don't know. We didn't talk about it.
Right, okay. Go on.
Essentially,
how's his hair?
It's me, Cletus Cassidy, the serial killer.
Right.
I hate you. Fuck you.
Oh, by the way, did you know I killed my grandmother and my mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, killed them.
My dad beat me.
Yeah.
And then I went to the
school for unwanted children.
Yeah. And now I'm gonna die.
I met my girlfriend there.
Yeah. But I am gonna die.
Oh yeah.
And you kind of did it, or at least I feel like you did. So you should come and watch me die.
Yeah. Like you owe me that much.
Hugs and kisses.
Yeah. Fair.
Smiley face.
Yeah.
Cletus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Venom's like, nah, I don't think we should do that. But Eddie says, I don't know, maybe we should do that. And Venom's like, nah, I don't think we should do that. And I was like, we're gonna do that.
We're gonna do it.
And yeah, they do just that. They go to the prison. Cletus is about to go on death row, or yeah, I guess he is on death row. He's about to go into the final place.
Right.
And he's having his final meal.
Yes.
Which I kind of wish that they told us what it was, or put a little more emphasis into that, because that's something that usually gets highlighted in those types of scenarios.
Should have been chicken and chocolate.
Yeah,
just
that
for the
would have been good. Yeah. But anyway, so he's enjoying his meal while Eddie talks to him, and the guard says, "Stay 2 feet away from the bars." And so he does that, and he puts a little recorder.
No touching.
Yeah, no touching.
No touching. No touching. There's sorry,
is that
there's
the Arrested Development? I was about to say. God, I love that show. Yeah, so Eddie puts a little recorder on the bars, and they talk. And Cletus more or less ends up going, Eddie, you suck. Everybody around you gets hurt or dies or something like that. Fuck you. And then Venom
and Venom's hurt
is like, you know what? Fuck you. And then grabs onto him through the bars and they interact. Then Cletus bites Eddie's hand.
Yep.
Then the guard's like, no touching, and breaks up the touching. And then he more or less ushers Eddie out. And Cletus is like tasting the blood on his hand. He's like, this is not blood that I've ever tasted, and I've tasted a lot of blood.
Let me tell you, buddy.
Eddie's got a secret. And and then he leaves.
So Cletus like wipes the blood off his lips and sees that it starts wriggling.
And then he eats it.
And then he eats it because it's like wriggling blood.
Well, I'll be damned.
Damn, I bet it's tasty.
And then he goes to death row. Eddie goes somewhere, I guess.
Home.
Yes, he goes home.
Where he gets in a real bad fight with Venom.
Yeah, the two of them really have it out. And he's like, that was really irresponsible of you and bad. I hate you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. My life is better without you.
I know I've said this a lot, and I mean a lot. But really, I wish more than anything that you would just get out of my body and leave me alone. And I know I've said that every day, but today I say just leave in my daily message, I wish you would leave my body and leave me alone. And Venom's like, you know what? Any other day you say that, and I'd say, whatever, man. But today you say that, and I think, okay. So Venom leaves.
Yeah, and he goes body hopping from body to body, and a lady riding a bicycle flails wildly. And then I guess then it goes back to Cletus now being strapped into the death chair. And he is going to be executed via lethal injection. And the warden, I guess. I thought he was a preacher, but then they interacted later, and he said warden. So I guess the warden says, okay, you're going to die now. Any last words? And he says something that I don't remember.
Enjoy the show.
Yeah, that's what he says. And then he starts getting lethally injected. And he starts dying.
Yeah. Which frankly would be on the minority end on what happens with lethal injection.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you know, but lethal injection is just terribly inefficient.
Really?
Yeah. Not insofar as like killing people, like, oh, it'll do that, but like
just it takes a long time.
Yeah. The whole like, first they go into sleep and then they kind of silently go, no.
Huh.
There's some horrific fucking shit that goes on with lethal injection. That's just my little tirade. Anyway, look into it sometimes. It's fucking awful. Oh, it's terrible.
But anyway, so he starts going onto the nether, and then what do you know? The green lethal injection fluid becomes red, not lethal injection fluid. And
becomes very invigorating fluid.
And then he springs back to life and becomes a monster.
Yep.
And then he starts killing people.
You know what I really hate about movie theater speakers? Or at least sound design in modern movies.
How fucking loud the screech that he did was.
Yeah. But this happens to me in a lot of movies. Like, it seems like the sound editors are like, and then this will be like an epic surrounding noise. Which, I mean, like, sure, but the problem is it's so loud and creates so much pain in my ears that there's no epic kind of like bone-chilling thing as much as just like, fuck, goddamn.
I agree. Yeah, no, because I will say the screech that they used, I think, was like a good fitting one. Like it was like, ooh, that is pretty
100%.
Pretty intimidating. But again, like that was lost because it was like, ow, my ears.
Yeah, it was just like the fuck.
Please turn that down, please.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that. It gets lost.
No, certainly, I agree. But yeah, then he starts killing people, has a good old time. Yeah,
you could say he creates
havoc.
Yeah.
He does just that. And then he eats the warden's head, and then he leaves.
Yep.
And all the prisoners applaud.
They do applaud, yeah.
They do. They're like,
do that.
yeah,
Everyone does clap. Yeah.
I hated that guy.
Yeah. So Venom's at a rave. Yeah. And then, it's just...
He has a wonderful speech
it's
about
so funny.
being on his own.
It's just so funny. Like, Venom at a rave. How kooky is that? Oh, my God. And nobody, notices that it's, a crazy superpower, alien because, everyone's in, costumes and stuff like that. So,
and of course, they all look exactly like him in those costumes. He just blends
They're
right
all
in.
7-foot tall, hulking monstrosities. Everyone's just complimenting on his they think it's a costume. They think it's a costume.
Where'd you get that, dude?
Oh, my God. And, of course, they think it's just such a good one.
I made it myself.
Yeah. He's so funny.
So Venom's living the life, the La Vida Loca.
But secretly, he's in pain.
Yeah, he is. Eddie, on the other hand, is finally enjoying a little bit of peace and quiet in his apartment until bang, bang, bang. Bang, 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 bang. Aren't you going to get the door, Mike?
No, I think I'm watching the TV right now.
Bang, 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 bang.
Breaking news. Serial killer Cletus Cassidy has broken out of prison. I, Eddie Brock, am wondering about Cletus. He's probably going to come for me. I should try calling my detective friend, boss guy.
Bang, 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 bang.
Oh, God. A knock at the door. Is it too late for me already?
Bang, 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 bang.
I wouldn't have expected him to arrive so soon. I'm going to go check the Oh.
Oh, hey, it's me, the detective guy.
Hey, detective friend. Yeah, I was just calling you in fear for my life.
What's that? You got to speak into my good side.
Oh, yeah, right. I see you have that earpiece thing. I don't know what the relevance of that is at all. Anyway.
It's not important at all.
Yeah,
I don't know why I
expect
mentioned
it to be. Did you see the TV? Luckily, you don't need your ears for that.
It's a nice TV.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, what's on it? Oh, well, I guess it's a commercial now. I assume you know that Cletus Castagnoli is out of prison?
No, I heard about Cletus Cassidy, but
right,
oh man, we're gonna be
hi.
God, all these serial killers getting out of here.
Yeah,
God.
My bad.
And what's the odds of them all being named Cletus?
Cletus, yeah.
Well, anyway, Eddie, I just wanted to let you know that we need to figure out this whole Cletus Cassidy thing. And then if we have time after that, then we'll do Cletus Casagnola. But first, I need you to understand that I need you to give me any information that you have. Do you have any information?
No.
Well,
not that I know of.
Well, you know what they say. Information is currency.
They do say that.
Yeah. Well, goodbye now.
Well, if I have any ideas, I'll be sure to get in touch.
All right. Yeah, whatever. Bye.
No. What's that you say about elaborate costumes and breakout plans? No, we didn't mention any of that.
That's so stupid.
What?
This is stupid.
What? No. Look, hey, if you're playing the role of detective, you got to ask me the questions, bucko.
No, I concede to that. I'm just saying how stupid it was for him to say the costume thing.
There's so many lines that caused me physical pain in this movie, and that was definitely one of them. Where it's just so that's what they're going with. That's what they're going with. No one's crazy fucking alien symbiote. You seen Terminator 2? It's like Terminator 2. It's like that guy. It's like he can morph his body into knives and stabbing weapons.
Well, not even that. Well, I mean, that too. That was dumb. But I say even worse, the fact that he's so when he was talking to you, he didn't say anything about his escape plan where he would break out as a giant monster.
Well, he's just he's nothing involving an elaborate costume. I'm like, who the fuck in the rumor mill passed this down? That they're just we don't know how he made it work. Our informants seem to think that it's because he had a very creative costume on that allowed him to get past our guards. What the fuck? Oh my Christ. As they're just being stabbed with symbiotic weapons, this is a hell of a costume. You're what the fuck is this?
Also,
Christ above.
There was absolutely no reason to have that recorder.
True.
It never came up again.
Yep.
Which I thought it would in this exact moment. I thought that there would be some kind of confrontation here where he's like, Eddie, You got to give me any information you have.
Well, and he does use the recorder to go to the, unwanted children's home.
That's fair.
That's how he gets, like, his little, like, brain worm to start investigating.
Dumb. Fucking stupid.
True, it is dumb and stupid, yeah. Both those things.
Yeah.
Cletus is also having a rave. He's at the same rave, in fact.
Is he really?
Yeah, and then he's walking out of the rave and sees this red Corvette.
Yes.
And he's like, man, that car's so cool. So he hops in it, and luckily Carnage can hotwire. And then, or I guess Carnage can mold his body to trip the tumblers on the ignition.
Something anyway.
So they turn the car on and they're driving. And Cletus is like, you and me, Carnage, we're partners now. Let's make a deal. And Carnage is like, okay, I want to kill the thing that created me. And Cletus is like, yeah, that's cool. I know where to find him. But first, we got to go rescue my girlfriend. And Carnage is like, yeah, man, all right, that's cool. Let's do it. So off Cletus and Carnage go rescue Cletus's girlfriend, Screech or Banshee.
Banshee
Shriek?
Screech.
Shriek.
I don't know. Yeah, Shriek.
I don't know her name. Anyway.
So Cletus, before going to save his girlfriend,
Right.
he pulls up to a gas station.
All right.
And he gets out of his car.
Yeah.
And he just walks right in. And the attendant says, can I help you? And then he beats the shit out of him. And then he says, let me check out these internets. And then he uses symbiote fingers to hack the World Wide Web and gain access to confidential police records.
I just give up, man. I don't know what the fuck he said. It sounded like he said, like, do you have any of that internet? And then, like, Carnage just kind of, like wriggles into the laptop and starts flashing, like, your girlfriend's here. Your girlfriend's here. And it's like, what? What? Just pause. I want to, like, give a sufficient linger on, like, because I don't have the energy to make the noises to convey. It's just, like, the mind-bending, not even anger, just, like, hopelessness. It inspires hopelessness within me. Like, I saw him open up this laptop and use, like, the symbiote to just, like, wriggle into the laptop and then just start, like, flashing, like, your girlfriend's here, your girlfriend's transfer files, things like that. And I felt emptiness. Like, I felt a light within me drain. It was one of the most deflating things I'd ever felt. And I don't know. I'm sure, I could unpack it adequately. Something about, like, yeah, if I had to put it in a phrase, like, we're not even trying anymore. Like, we're just not even trying anymore.
Think one of the funniest things for me that I could say about that is I love, and this is as somebody now who's doing, like, software development type stuff.
Right.
I love that, like, by accessing the innards of a computer and getting all this, like, crazy information, it has a really nice user interface that, like, just displays all the information with, like, pictures and everything.
I like that it was all red.
Yeah.
Like, Carnage knows how to do some good CSS management.
Yeah,
He's like, text font red. Christ above. Ridiculous. I'm just fucking flabbergasted at the whole affair.
Yeah, no, it was pretty fucking dumb.
Anyway, so Carnage uses their brilliant hacker skills / summoning skills. I don't know what the fuck to get the info as to where she is. So now Brock is back at home, and he's like, blah 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 blah. Oh man, if only I had some information. Well, let me play the only recording I have of me talking with Cletus. And
hey,
so,
it's me, Cletus. I'm gonna go to this place. You should go check it
I
out.
have this costume. You see, I'm planning my escape. What I like about this costume, and it's very convincing. So basically, Cletus is like, and Brock goes, what's that about marriage? And then and then Brock goes, marriage. And then he's looking over, like, Venom's, like, drawings.
Wings
and
us together.
Yeah, so he's like, yes. He goes and investigates the children's home.
And so then...
Anyway, sadistic doctor.
And sadistic doctor lady says, hey, Banshee Shriek lady, your boyfriend's dead. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha.
No. She
Oh wait, no, you're right. She says Your boyfriend's not dead. Ha ha ha.
I'm also confused about what brings me joy. I think I just like events anyway.
This is so exciting for me. But, man, your boyfriend's on the run. There's no way that anybody could know where he possibly is.
Right.
Huh. Is that something tapping on my shoulder? Yeah, and then Cletus Cassidy, oh my God, there he is. And he strangles her to death and she dies.
I don't think he's Cletus anymore. I think he's just Carnage. Cassidy.
Carnidus.
Cardist. Cardist Castagnoli.
Yeah, he's Cletus Cassidy, but when he bonds with the symbiote, then he's Cletus Castagnoli.
Castagnoli.
Oh, man. Marvel, if you're looking for freelance writers, we're happy to.
I would love Cletus Castagnoli.
I think our listeners would too. So, Marvel, help hit us up.
Oh God. And he can start a vibrant independent wrestling career.
Yeah. He kills the sadistic doctor lady.
Yeah, just strangles her to death. Pretty basic.
And
again, it's PG-13, so none of the brutal murders can be brutal.
Yeah, they can just be murders.
Yeah.
And so then he uses...
Really just implied murders. It's whack.
This probably would kill her, but we're not going to show it.
Oh, look at her limp body.
Yeah, so then he uses his Carnage powers to wrap up the box thingy that his lover is in.
And they start playing tonsil hockey.
Yeah. Tonsil hockey.
That's about the extent of that.
Yeah, and then guards come in and are like, hey, and start shooting, and then they leave.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they go right to the car.
Do a brutal murders on the way.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I love this car. And he's like, shut up, baby, I know it.
Is that Bender?
Yeah. And then they drive around, and then police cars follow them. And then they fight the police, and they're doing pretty well. And then Banshee Shriek Lady's like, I can help.
I have a superpower.
And so then she uses that. And then they're like, no, that's the one superpower we can't use right now because it hurts the symbiote.
Right. And Symbiote's like, and Symbiote immediately tells Cletus, he's like, if she does that again, I'm killing her.
He's
like
oh.
I will kill her if she does that again. And Cletus is like, oh, you.
And then it's time to get hitched.
Yep.
I'm trying to think how the hell Eddie gets brought into custody or whatever.
Oh, because he calls in info to his detective pal and is like, look into this. And his detective pal is like, because Eddie finds a carving on a tree, and it's like Cletus Castagnoli loves KB, yeah.
Karen Banshee.
Is that really?
No.
Yeah, okay, I'm going Karen Banshee, though. Yeah, Karen Banshee.
Loves Cletus Castagnoli.
And the detective's like, Karen Banshee? Well, he's like, I don't know who the hell KB is. Eddie says, I don't know who KB is. And the detective is like, oh, that's Karen Banshee. But that's impossible to question
I shot her in the fucking face.
Yeah, he's like, I fucking killed her, man. And then he rubs his ear
and has flashbacks.
Yeah,
and then we learn
he was the guy.
Oh my God!
That she shouted into the eardrums of and asked if he had last words.
As much as we're playing it up, I that was one thing I did like. I was like, oh, they did that pretty well and had nice little nods to that.
It was pretty obvious from the.
Okay, I guess I'm just stupid, Mike.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. That's fair. There's no reason for me to say that.
Yeah, thank you.
I did not feel the impact of it because he had the first time he had the ear piece thing. I was like, well, there's only one person we've seen in this entire film get his eardrums shouted out.
I just didn't even pick up that he had the ear thingy.
Plus, it zoomed in on his name badge, which is hilarious because I don't remember his name.
Oh my God, you're right. It totally did.
I don't remember his name at all.
That.
I don't remember his name at all. But yeah, the establishing shot. Anyway. Yeah, so he calls him and he's like, look into her. And he's like, she's dead. But then he seems like, or is she? So he starts looking into it and finds out, oh my God, she's still alive. Not only is she still alive, but
she's at the place with the sadistic doctor who I've never heard of.
yeah, exactly. And people go investigate it and find that, shock, everyone's dead and she's been broken out. So that's when Detective Guy is like, I need to question Eddie. But before we get to that, a weird rave fella busts into the store of
Mrs.
Chen and starts like convulsing on the ground. And
she's
Mrs.
like, "Hey,
Chen is like,
no dying people in my store."
She's like, no bums. I don't like the homeless. I have animosity towards people.
Yeah. But then Venom is like, I'm dying.
It's me,
everybody's
chocolate.
weak.
Feed me chocolate.
And then he starts to like ooze out of the guy.
Yep.
And she like cradles his head.
Yeah, because Chen likes Venom.
Yeah, they're cool.
They're cool.
Even though he did threaten to eat her.
He was just ornery.
Ornery.
Yeah, at the time. He didn't have any chocolate.
Oh, you know how Venom gets without his chocolate.
Without his chocolate or people. Yeah, so that scene happens, and now the detective's like, all right, Eddie, I'm questioning you. You're in custody, pal. And the detective is like, all right, look, man, like, events from last movie. You talk to Cletus Cassidy, he comes out Cletus Castagnoli. And then... And then I'm finding out about secret facilities of people I thought I killed, and somehow you are stumbling upon this information. You're finding all these clues, finding the bodies. Like, you tell me how you're not connected to this in some way. I need answers, damn it. Clearly you know more of what's going on than I do, so I need to know what's going on that you're keeping secret from me. And Eddie is like, I can't tell you what I'm keeping secret from you till I get my phone call. And the detective's like, all right, fine. I'll give you your phone call. So,
but speak up, because I can't hear too good.
yeah, but say it in the good ear. The good ear. The non-relevant good ear, Eddie. Anyway, Eddie uses his own phone call to call
Anne.
Hey.
And Dan. Her fiancé.
Yes.
Dan talks to Anne and is like, we're not going to have to deal with aliens again, are we?
Yeah.
She's like, no.
Yeah, he's kind of set up as like a dweeb.
Yeah. Nobody likes you, Dan.
Which is unfortunate, but
yeah.
What you gonna do?
But yeah, so then she comes into the interrogation room where Eddie is, and she's like, aliens, huh?
Yeah, she's like, tell me what's going on, Venom. And Eddie's like, Venom's not here. And she's like, is this like Venom's not here or like Venom's not here? And he's like Venom's not here. And she's like, well, fuck. Where is he? And Eddie's like, I don't really know. I only have one place in my mind, so I hope the fuck he's there. And that's Mrs. Chen's. So go check there.
And so she does that. And she goes in and is like, Mrs. Chen, where's Venom? And she's like, you broke Eddie's heart. I'm not talking to you. And then she's like, well, I'm not here for Eddie. I'm here for Venom. She's like, well, you're just going to break his heart too. So, no. Harumph. And then Dan says, can you turn the TV up, please?
Which shows how engaged Dan was in the conversation.
And then something tips off Anne to realizing that Mrs. Chen is
because basically
Venom.
Mrs. Chen's just like, Eddie and him got in a fight, and Eddie wasn't very nice to Venom, and it's like, oh,
and
wait
Venom is the coolest and smartest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she's like, okay, Venom, like, go help Eddie, and Venom's like, no, fuck Eddie, and Anne's like, oh, Venom, you're just so hot and cool. Hot and cool people would go help Eddie, and Venom's like, damn, you're right. Let's go help Eddie. And so then Anne walks into the interrogation room, and Eddie's like, oh, you didn't find him. And then Venom like leaks out of all of Anne's skin pores and stuff, and busts Eddie out of the wall. And then there's a big commotion, and the detective runs in to see a giant hole in the wall, and he's like, ah, fuck.
Then we see Venom carrying a body, jumping from place to place, ba-ba-da-ba. And then they land, and we see Eddie not covered in the symbiote. So that must mean Anne is covered in the Venom symbiote.
Yeah. But she reveals that in the interrogation room.
Wow. Well, listener, Anne was wearing the Venom suit.
What?
Yeah.
Huh.
Pretty crazy stuff.
Huh.
And then Eddie's like, all right, Venom, let's get to it. And he's like, no, I'm still pissed off at you. So then he has to make a sincere apology.
Yeah.
Then they do that.
Yeah.
And then Anne gets into the car with Dan. And Venom says, hey, Dan, keep her safe, okay? But just in case you need to know this, which I can't imagine any possible scenario where this might come up, but, just in case, fire and sound. That'll hurt him, okay? And then he's like, okay, bye.
Well, yeah, because Venom's like, hey, Dan, right, keep her safe. But, of course, you won't be able to do that. So, actually, when you get home, pack up all your stuff and drive as far away from here as you possibly can. They're coming for you. They're coming for you. And as they're coming for you, if you have any ability to do anything when they finally find you, if you somehow manage to get home and not run away in time, fire and sound. And so now the detective fella is running out.
After Eddie.
Yeah.
And so he goes to Eddie's apartment, and he pulls up there,
okay.
and he sees none other than Cletus Castagnoli.
The one and very same. So anyway, he shoots him 6 times.
I shot him 6 times.
I shot him 6 times. I shot him 6 times. I would give anything to have the detective from Halloween 2 play the detective in this film.
Yeah, that'd be pretty great.
Oh, it would have been magnificent. Oh, but yeah, he shoots him 6 times. And then Cletus Castagnoli is like, of course your bullets can't harm me any longer. And then he just kidnaps the detective. And he's like, we're going to my wedding.
And you're a guest of honor.
At behest of my soon-to-be wife.
And then we see the wife who is rooting around through Eddie's stuff in his apartment.
Yep.
And she finds a ring that was meant for a certain somebody who never got it.
Because she puts it on.
Yeah, she puts it on. And then she's like, I wonder who this ring was originally meant for. And then she happens to see a photo of Anne posing right in front of her house, holding what is more or less a letter saying, hey, I live here.
And her social
street.
security card, funny enough.
Yeah.
No, yeah, of course.
She also had a business card with all of her hours on it.
Yeah,
And,
when you could expect her to be home. How long it takes for her to get from like the police station to her home in minutes.
her favorite places to go when she's not at home.
Yeah, right. If she had to run for someplace for an emergency, where she'd run to.
And where you could call her in case she was at none of those places. But you really needed to
And
find her.
she'll be sure to let you know.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, so surprise, surprise. Banshee Shriek finds Anne and Dan.
And puts Dan in the trunk.
Puts Dan in the trunk and goes to Anne and says, Dan's in the trunk, Anne.
And you better do what I say.
And you can follow me to your death. So let's go.
Yeah. So then she goes back to Dan in the trunk.
Anne?
And says, Dan.
Anne?
And says,
or
Dan.
Wait, Dan or Anne?
She goes back to Dan, and she says, Dan, Anne's coming with me unless you do nothing, because you actually can't do anything other
Unless
than,
you hear my plan.
my plan to give this to Venom, okay? And then she leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then Dan goes and calls Venom, and it's like...
Yeah.
Well, first Eddie's like, geez, I don't know where the hell I could possibly go to look for Carnage, and
Right.
Because, man... the whole city's looking for both of us. And then Dan goes, hey, I know exactly where you can find Carnage. And he has Anne. Bye. And
Right.
yeah, so then they go to the cathedral of all places.
Yes, they go to Climax Cathedral. The town's most famous cathedral for all things culminating.
Yeah, and so there's a absolutely beautiful wedding ceremony that's going on.
Bless this day.
And
Miracle of life.
Cletus says, I got you a gift. it's the police officer who shot your eye.
Yay.
Yay. And then the officiator priest guy goes, and if there's anybody who objects to this
Wait! Cletus mentions also we got this lady.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if anybody objects to this marriage, speak now or forever hold your...
Wait, says Venom this time, and not me off camera.
Yeah. So Venom comes in and is like, this wedding is done.
No.
That might as well have been in
Yeah, I mean, if they wrote that in the movie, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. And so then...
she's not getting married today.
Cletus Cassidy then takes his form of Cletus Castagnoli. And then Venom does the hilarious thing of then being like, you know what, actually, Eddie, let's go. Ha 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 ha.
You know, it was just as funny in the trailer as it was here.
But yeah, then Eddie coaxes him into fighting the Beast.
Yeah.
And they fight.
Okay, so let's try to go over, the way this fight maps out. So they fight. Carnage is winning.
Well, I think first she does a scream again.
Yes.
And then Carnage is like, hey, what did I say about that?
Yeah. Banshee chases cop fella.
On the scaffolding on the outside of the
because there's
building.
construction happening, I guess. So cop fella works his way to like a forklift and goes up to the roof of the cathedral. Exposed on the outside roof, that is. And so there's some scaffolding that he starts working up as she chases him. Venom and Carnage fight. The detective and Banshee are fighting. And Banshee takes him out and puts a thumb to his eye and says, like, what do they say about an eye for an eye?
Just that.
And Carnage has sufficiently whooped Venom.
Yep.
And starts going up.
Yeah, so then...
I'm trying to think when Dan does his thing. We'll just do it now. Dan, retaining the fact that sound and fire hurt them, starts pouring gasoline from somewhere on Carnage and lighting it on fire, and that hurts Carnage for a little bit.
He's like, ah!
Yeah, but Carnage like shakes it off at the end because he runs out of gasoline or fire or whatever, and starts chasing Dan. But Venom fights Carnage, and Carnage fights Venom and starts winning. And
at some point, he grabs Anne and is holding on to her.
The rubble falls as Carnage ascends with Anne.
Mm-hmm.
Dan runs over and is like, Brock, Venom, get out. And Venom and Brock are like, no, we can't. Like, I'm just too weak. And as Carnage ascends, he sees Banshee and was like, right, I said if she did that thing again, I was going to kill her. She did that thing again. Now's no time like the present. So he starts trying to kill her, and Cletus is like, no, that's my wife. You won't strangle her. And Carnage is like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to strangle her here anyway. And then Venom sees this and is like, Brock sees this and is like, look, they're not good together. They're not a good pair like me and you, Venom. And Venom's like, we are a good pair. And so like they start pushing the rubble off and finally break out. And now Venom ascends to the roof and is trying to fight Carnage again now that Voice Lady has been like knocked out. And so Venom gets like a good old punch from Carnage, and Venom's like, man, we need to find out how to produce some sound. And he looks over at like knocked out Voice Lady and like kind of wakes her up a little bit, and she starts getting up and he's like, I know what to do. And then like backhands her into the bell, and the bell starts ringing out.
That had to be one of the only things that I thought was actually funny.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. That was a pretty good misdirection. So I was like, all right, yeah, like she's ready to come around to his side now that she's been like strangled by Carnage. She's ready to fight him on behalf of whatever, like do his thing. But Venom doesn't have any of that. He just knocks her into the cathedral bell, and she falls, and the cathedral bell falls on top of her, and she can probably be assumed dead. Fight.
Yeah, that's more or less it. Just fighting. And then...
and gets dropped and gets saved. So from a great height, a great sound rings out. I think it's like the cathedral bell.
Yeah,
or
some other thing.
Some fucking
Yeah.
sound happens. And so both Brock and Cletus are falling from a great height.
And their symbiotes come off of them because of the sound.
Right. And so Venom goes through Anne, through Dan, back up to Eddie to break his fall. Cletus has no such friends, so he just smacks the pavement and is really hurt. And his symbiote tries crawling back over to him, but doesn't make it. And Venom grabs Carnage and eats it. That's that.
Then Cletus is like, well, you see, Brock, that's the difference between you and I. Even without the symbiote, I'm a killer. But you... And then Venom just eats him.
Well, yeah, Cletus is like, I really only wanted one thing from you, Eddie. And Eddie's like, what is that? And Cletus is like, I already told you. And you didn't listen. And Eddie's like, yeah, all right, well, I'm listening now. So what is it? And Cletus is like, I wanted your friendship. And Eddie's like, yeah, sorry, man, I can't give that to you. And Venom is much less diplomatic and says, fuck this guy, and bites his head off. It's important to note sometime during this fight scene, like the cathedral bell did ring out naturally because it was like midnight or some shit. Probably midnight. I don't know what time it was, but, why not? Mm-hmm. Probably midnight. And so it starts ringing, and so like there's this little scene where Brock and Cletus are talking while the symbiotes like come on and off them with each ring of the bell because there's sufficient gaps between the rings of the bell. So like, ding, symbiotes are off, dialogue, rebuild strength, fight each other as symbiotes, ding, dialogue, things like that. And so basically, this is Cletus' time to be like, you left out the part of my story in your article where I was abused and hurt. And, and Brock's like, that's not really relevant, man. You're still a crazy killer fella. It doesn't really matter. Like, fuck you. Whatever. Yeah. It's pretty evident you're still just a killer dude. Like, doesn't matter. None of that's really important. And so that's a little bit of dialogue they had during the fight scene. But anyway, death of Cletus.
Yeah. And then, more or less, Venom and Eddie are like, well, I guess we got to go on the run.
That's right into the sunset together then.
And they do. They go to a nice little beach, and they're enjoying things. And then that's more or less that. And then credits, and then nice Marvel after credit scene where we see Venom and Eddie watching television together in a room, and while laying in bed, and Venom's like, "Oh, I have vast knowledge, and I will give some of it to you." And then just when that happens, Marvel Cinematic Universe world where the Tom Holland Spider-Man is, and the movie ends.
Well, it's worth noting that the detective at the very end, I guess, wasn't really dead, and he has like a boot up where his eyes glow. Yeah, more or less. Because like I don't know, I forget what he says. Maybe he says eye for an eye. Or just says, like, I'm not dead. And then, like, his eyes, like, glow in the way that you would expect, like, a cyborg's eyes to glow. But maybe it's something different. I don't know what it's supposed to be. I don't know this franchise that well. So that.
But, yeah.
Not getting married today. So the wedding's off. They wish Ann and Dan farewell. Post-credit scene. That's Venom 2. Baby. Let there be LTBC. V:LTBC. Whenever I read that, I just thought 5 LTBC, and I was like, that doesn't make sense.
That does not make sense. You're right.
VLTBC.
Yeah, again, just pretty disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, it was just so boilerplate, and not even boilerplate, but like boilerplate done poorly. Like, it was just bad.
Yeah, I really don't understand. Like, every single part of the movie had to have some kind of humor shoehorned in.
Yeah.
Like, not every single, like, second of the movie has to be funny.
Well, yeah, and by the way, like, there's a priest at the wedding, because it's a wedding.
Yeah.
At the very end. And this is where Carnage does, like, his bit. Because I guess Carnage views Venom as his father, because he was born from Venom.
You kind of consider him as a
Yeah,
father.
I can see that. It makes sense. Right? So, the priest is like kind of shoved aside momentarily for Carnage before like Carnage and Venom have their confrontation, and Carnage goes, "It's time to die, father," and then the priest goes like, "Oh," and then Carnage does his bit where he goes like, "No, not you, father, not you, father," and I mean, okay, I have to admit. It was so funny. It was just so, it's hard because, Carnage is supposed to be like this kind of monstrous demon kill kind of psychopathic creature. But I mean, well worth it because it was just so funny. So funny.
That moment that reminded me, because again, as you just mentioned, like Venom is kind of like Carnage's father, and again, like in the comics, that's like kind of like established. It's not just like, oh, I guess you could kind of think like, yeah, it's just like kind of explicitly. But there are so many things in this movie that if you don't have knowledge about them already, it's really confusing. Which that's one thing that I'll say. Like with a lot of comic book movies, I feel like you can go into them and like if you are not a huge comic book fan, you'll be able to pick up on like the relationships and the identities of people.
Right.
Whereas like it felt like this movie, it was very much a lot like you should know who Cletus Cassidy is, you should know who his girlfriend is.
Right.
Like you should know the relationship between Venom and Carnage and like just all these other things where it's just like it was not really like explicitly stated or anything, and there was a lot of things that like I think you just were kind of expected to know going into this.
Well, just as me, the only knowledge of Carnage I have is again from the PS1 Spider-Man game, where he merges with Doc Ock and becomes like Doc Ock Carnage and is the final boss, where you just run from him. Doc Ock Carnage is pretty cool though, pretty cool. Anyway, that's all I knew about him. So, I mean, I guess I knew, like, Carnage, or at least I knew that the red symbiote was an enemy to Venom, like black symbiote, because you run around killing them in Spider-Man 1, the video game, with Venom for a bit, after you fight Venom, like, as a boss, because he kidnaps, like, Mary Jane and tries to, like, drown her or something.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So that's all I knew. So, yeah, I have no idea who the hell Cletus is. But again, as that, like, honestly, it's not too confusing, the story they tell. I'm sure it's not the comic story.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't read a whole lot of Carnage comics. There are some.
Right.
It's not even so much that it, like, oh, this story is confusing. It's just, again, I just think, like, the dynamic and relationships between characters, like, it seemed like a lot of that stuff was just supposed to be like, oh, well, like, you know this already. And it's like, no, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, like, if anything, like, because they had to do the origin stories for these characters for people who don't know the comics, like a lot of the relationships between them seem about as like shallow as a children's pool, Like it's like ankle deep lore.
Yeah.
Like so it's not like confusing as much as it's for me. It wasn't like confusing as much as it was just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like sure I get it. Like, but it doesn't feel very deep. For me, what's weird about Carnage calling, like, Venom father is that, like, I mean, like, sure, I get it in the sense that, like,
he spawned from him.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like, Cletus bites Brock, gets the Carnage symbiote, or gets the Venom symbiote, becomes Carnage. So I get that. But, like, I don't sense, like, why does Carnage feel so emotionally tied to Venom? They have zero interaction.
Yeah.
From his birth. Like, literally, from his birth to the moment they meet, they have no interaction.
Yeah, no,
it makes absolutely no sense to me.
Like, well, there can only be one.
And, it could, yeah, right, exactly. Like, and if they had done a better job of establishing, like, Carnage as an individual ego and force, then maybe I could buy into this idea that Carnage is just this thing of destruction and is like, oh, I know the thing that spawned me, and I just want to kill things. So all I know is that I want to kill the thing that spawned me. But they focus so much on Cletus and his relationship that it seems like Carnage was just a kind of ambivalent force that in the hands of Cletus was able to be this tool of mass destruction and just kind of like wants to kill things, but didn't seem like a kind of force in itself and its own individual identity that wanted to just be this ravenous murder machine that only understood murder outside of just wanting to like, you know, cause destruction, but like really just loves to murder, like really just wants to, only knows murder. Like that just wasn't made clear, which is what I get the impression Carnage is supposed to be from what little I know of Carnage, but it didn't feel like that at all. And again, the fact that it was PG-13 didn't help with that at all.
What really annoyed me, again, is Venom's voice. I thought was really obnoxious.
It's interesting, yeah, I don't know.
But Venom has this like really over-the-top, like, kind of voice.
Yeah.
But then Carnage is just a dude, like, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Carnage's voice is just like, hey, Cletus, tell your girlfriend to stop or I'll kill her.
Yeah, more or
Whereas,
less,
like,
just
Venom
like
is
with a
like,
growl.
oh,
With, like, a bit of a growl
I will,
on it.
Eat this person. And then it's just like, hey, Cletus, let's go kill Venom.
Yeah. My understanding of, like, Carnage's voice is much higher pitched. I guess, like, my understanding of Carnage's voice, if I had to envision it, would be like...
Charlie Day.
No.
I know.
But yeah, right. Yeah, it might as well be. Chris Pratt, it would be like if you know Navi from like Zelda.
Yeah.
You know, like hey, listen, but like through like a scream filter where it's like yeah, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it'd be like I can't do voices. Funny. If I was an actor at all, if there's anything to be said for my acting ability, it's not one that can do anything effectively with my voice. But yeah, so like I kind of envision it more of like a, you know, like I was killed. Almost fucking terrible. That was so bad. Oh god. But yeah, I kind of envision it kind of. Oh god, I don't know how to describe it.
No, I think I'm kind of on the same page.
Like
though.
like a Banshee-esque type of scream type of thing, where it's like yeah, like type stuff instead of like a screaming like. I will deliver you the goods.
Yeah.
It's much more like type thing. Kind of like if you know the sound of like hunters from Left 4 Dead.
Not really, honestly.
Oh, well then I don't know what to tell you. But you know, yeah, like zombie screams.
Left 4 Dead fans that would know.
Left 4 Dead zombie screams, I guess. Kind of yeah, more like that. I don't know. If there's any type of like voice that you want to run by me for the rating on this one, we'll imprint it there cuz that's the whatever you hear for my rating for this is the voice I envision for Carnage. Yeah, so we'll talk about that. But yeah, so that, I guess in a nutshell, what you'll hear at the end of this is more my idea of what Carnage might sound like. But Venom's voice is very, gels very well with the voice that I understand Venom to have, which comes pretty strictly from the Spider-Man game.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where he kind of talks like that.
I don't know exactly what I think Venom should sound like. Honestly, like I think it's like the clarity of it. Like, yeah, it's just like you can't like understand what he's saying.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Well, anyway, are you ready to do some reviews?
Yeah, let's do the reviews.
I think you should go first. Switch it up a little bit.
Well, okay. You want to do 5-star or 1-star?
5-star first.
Okay, 5-star first?
Mm-hmm.
5-star by J.H. I'll start off by saying, quote, I am a huge Marvel fan, end quote. Though I have not read many comics, I am a huge fan of the movies. So we'll start this again. I'll start off by saying, quote, I am a huge Marvel fan. Though I have not read many comics.
See, that is so interesting because, like, part of me, as somebody who does read comics, wants to be like, oh, brother.
Gatekeep time.
Like,
Gatekeeping time. Come on, keep that gate. Keep that
part of me
gate.
really wants to, but also it's like the more irrational side of me is like, well, we are living in the year 2021 where we have had a decade of, like, superhero, like, non-comic book superhero media that is at the forefront of pop culture.
Yeah.
So I think I do think maybe like 5 to 10 years ago, if somebody was like, I just watched the latest Iron Man movie, I haven't read a single comic book in my life, but gee, do I like Marvel? Like, I'd probably be like, all right, buddy. But like, I think it's perfectly reasonable in this day and age to be like, I have seen all the Marvel movies, never read a single comic book in my life. I like Marvel.
No, yeah. No, look, frankly, I, myself, am a big fan of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem saying that statement. I have intentionally gone and read some of his comics. Like Batman writes the comics. Some Batman comics. I have intentionally gone and read some Batman comics. I've read some of his work. Gotta say, I'm a fan. I like Batman. Yeah, I'm comfortable saying I'm a Batman fan. And I have intentionally read some of the comics. But barring that, the thing that made me say I am a Batman fan was the exposure I had through the Arkham games initially, and then the Christian Bale movies secondly. Right? And so, the Dark Knight trilogy and the Batman games are what made me say I'm a huge Batman fan.
Yeah.
And then after that, like really, again, like I read some of the comics, like the New 52 run and stuff like that. For anybody who knows Batman, it was mainly like the I don't know the names of them, but like Court of Owls was like that was an arc that I read. And then I read, Death of the Family, not Death in the Family, which is like when Joker cuts off his face and like gets it back from the police station and like abducts all of like the new family members and stuff. I read all that arc just kind of intentionally because I wanted to try that. But after that, it's like the Justice League is next, like the animated Justice League stuff. That's like the next Batman stuff. I didn't watch Batman the animated series. I like him better in the Justice League stuff. But like, so, and then after that, I made an intention to like read more Batman stuff, Long Halloween, Killing Joke, things like that. But, again, that's all very like basic stuff. Like if you want to talk to like quote unquote real diehard Batman fans and they're like, which Batman comics did you read? And I go, oh, all the really obvious ones. Like, of course, right? So, as somebody who hasn't read a whole bunch of comics myself, there is just something that does seem very, oxymoronic about saying, like, I am a huge fan of this comics company.
Yeah.
I haven't read a lot of comics, though, Yeah,
again, it is really interesting. I think, again, it goes to show that, like, within the last, 20 years, they have shifted from a comic company to a media company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. They have more of like just a character franchise.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's hear this.
Anyway, I'll start off by saying I am a huge Marvel fan in quotations. Maybe that's them saying like they're self-aware. Like I'll say I'm a Marvel fan, though I haven't read a bunch of the comics. I am a huge fan of the movies. I feel like the comics are a spoiler for the movies, lol. That's why they haven't read them, apparently. And I don't care if the movies match up with the comics. This movie is excellent, hilarious. Even funnier than the first one, which is saying a lot. A lot of action and good lines. Make sure to see the end credits scene. Amazing acting. Excellent plot. Would win awards, except that Marvel movies are not allowed to. Well, I think it's because there wouldn't be any left for anything else. Yeah, I mean, if we start letting the Marvel movies win awards, they just take them all. They'd sweep them. If you want to know if a movie is good, don't check Rotten Tomato emoji unless you want some sophisticated explanation to why it was good or bad. Yeah, like, honestly, I'm with them. I can't stand people going on these long-winded tirades, going about, like, oh, let me detail the plot step by step and why I didn't like this movie or why I did like this movie.
It's just like... Just go watch a movie. You don't need to get somebody else's opinion and a rundown of the plot. Yeah,
exactly. Or go on some fucking tirade, typing paragraphs, or like talking for hours about a fucking... I get it. So yeah, don't go check Rotten Tomato emoji unless you want that type of nonsense. Just watch the movie and judge for yourself. I was in theaters and I saw and heard how much everyone was enjoying the movie. Even cheering at some points. I guess they all stood up and clapped at the end.
And then everyone clapped.
Yeah. I loved this movie, so I'm rating this movie 100% fresh strawberry emoji for myself and those who want my opinion.
Yeah, I love
Thank you, Jay.
Fresh strawberries.
Yeah. That's I guess that's their take on Rotten Tomatoes. Like the antithesis to Rotten Tomatoes is fresh strawberries.
That tracks. I'm going to be reading from Emmanuel Chanel. This is a 5-star review, and it reads, even better than the first one. This movie kept me on the edge of my seat. I really like the way how they introduced Carnage and how he immediately goes on a rampage right after being born. CK's intimate love with Shriek is one of my fave parts.
Uh-huh.
There are 2 ones there.
Right.
People complain and say Cletus was being a simp. But that's the whole reason I wanted to read this. People complain and say that Cletus was being a simp, but Shriek is basically the only thing Cletus cares about in this world. If there's only one thing you like in this entire world, you would love it just as much as him. 9.5 out of 10 for me. One if my favorite Marvel projects released this year. Venom got so much more screen time also. 2 people found this helpful.
I want to meet this person's, like, I want to see what social circles this guy runs in. It's just like, yeah, I know everyone's talking about how much of a simp Cletus was, but look, guys, all right. Look, if you can't simp for love, what can you simp for?
Exactly. You know, it takes a good man to simp.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You ready for 1 stars?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what simp stands for.
I don't know, actually. Squirrel in my pants.
What? Yeah, SIMP,
Yeah.
scroll my pants. Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's exactly what it stands for. Oh, I remember now. But it's vulgar and derogatory.
Nice.
Yeah, right. All right, so this is DB Reese.
Uh-huh.
DB RHYS. DB Rice, I'm going. I chose this guy because it sounds like he has some internal issues that he's trying to work out through criticism of the film. But
Those
I
are
mean,
always
so
pretty
am
good.
I. So, you know, like, what?
I said those are always pretty good.
Yeah. So this guy has some pretty interesting baggage, which is why I chose this. An hour and a half of my life that I can't get back. This film falls short of the first one, and it's not even close. Venom is a gay crime-fighting super alien? Really? And I had to rack my brain for a second over that comment, because I thought, where does he get this idea that Venom is gay? And I don't understand.
Yeah, no, I...
Because he says
I also
Venom
have
is a
no
gay
idea.
crime-fighting super alien? Really? And I think it's because, like, him and Eddie say, like, oh, I love you. Like, oh, like, I want you back in my like, oh, hey, I want you back with me. Like, I'm sorry we got separated.
Yeah, no, this guy thinks that any, like, type of affection is gay.
I don't get it. Like, I know they do, like, the whole, like, breakup. Like, they do the bit, right, where, like, Eddie's talking to Anne
Yeah.
as if he's, like, apologizing for the mistakes he made in their relationship. But he's actually talking to Venom.
Mm-hmm.
And then Venom comes back to him or whatever. So, I don't know, that's just weird. But anyway, Venom is a gay crime-fighting super alien? Really? Come on, man. Lose your ability to write something good in Hollywood? Let me answer that for you. Yes, you did. Bringing on Woody for the bad guy, but, you know, can't just be bad. He has to be weak-minded, who is not responsible for the abuse he received as a child, and therefore is not, quote, really bad. He did nothing for the character of the movie. Big swing, huge miss. Skip this flick and spend an hour kicking someone you love in the nads. It'll be exactly the same thing mentally.
I don't know. I feel like they like, yes, they did talk about, like, oh no, he has a tortured past too, but they weren't like, so okay, he's okay.
It wasn't
very
part of
much
like some redemption arc. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I feel like if anything, they were like, see, he's tortured past, or he has a tortured past, but that doesn't matter because he's a serial killer.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think any point of him being like, I was abused, was framed by the movie in any way of being like, see, doesn't he deserve some sympathy? He's a victim too. Like, I think the movie very clearly was like, he's trying to play the victim here. The dude's a fucking psycho.
Yeah.
This gets no sympathy, 0 points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Exactly.
You know, like, I don't, so, whatever. And then I love the fact that he uses the word nads.
Yeah, that is always that's a plus in my book.
Yeah, he calls them the nads, which of course is short for the medical gonads. So, you know, I think it's great.
He's a sophisticated guy.
Yeah, God bless him.
So my review is from Kyle LaRosa, and it is 1 star, and it reads,
I like Star Wars too.
It reads, I think if I were to meet the most annoying person ever, this would be their favorite movie. This was by far the most unintelligent movie I've ever seen. There wasn't 5 seconds where Venom wouldn't interrupt with some cringy attempt of a joke, making every scene feel exactly the same.
That's true.
The plot was all over the place, and so many things were totally random without reason. If I had only seen the end credits scene, I would be hyped. But after watching the actual movie, I think it might ruin everything. Overall, none of the jokes landed, the plot sucked, the acting was also pretty bad, and Carnage could have been so much cooler as a character. I think I pretty much agree with all of that. Honestly.
Yeah, my only hope is that none of the writers for this film contributed in any way to Spider-Man No Way Home.
I highly doubt it, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
So then they might handle his character all right.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that review. It's like I personally, as somebody who has like somewhat kept up with the Marvel movies, seeing the multiverse nod thing at the end credit scene, I was like, ooh, okay, like that. This is shaping up to be pretty interesting.
Right.
Everything else, it was like, what a waste of an hour and a half.
Yeah, and the point really is to be made. Like, it is not an exaggeration to say that it seems like the writers took the attitude of Venom being like, you know, if you ever watch like commentaries on a DVD or something like that, you know, or better yet, MS3TK, right? Like it seemed like they were trying to have Venom be like Tom Servo or some shit, right?
Yeah.
like watching the movie and doing like comment, like trying to do little like joke bits in between the lines, you know?
Yeah, no,
and all of them
true.
were terrible. All of them were awful, and they were constant. Seriously, no joke. Like every 5 lines, at least on average. Like more dense in some places.
100%.
Just absolutely awful. Seriously, I don't know how you write that many lines and have every single one of them miss. Like that's got to be a fucking skill. Which is why, again, like I'm half convinced the entire field of comedy writer, like as a job title, is some kind of like it's not. How is it still? It just breaks my mind to think about it. You know.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say about it. I had more fun, like cringing over it than anything. It's just, not a lot positive to be said about this.
Just bad.
Yeah. Well, would you like to do our rating?
Yeah.
Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'll do it. I don't really have any kind of quippy wrap-up thing I want to do for the rating here, because it's hard to try to condense it and touch on any of these points again without just being motivated to go on a whole tirade again. And I don't have the energy or the patience to hash this all out. So, like, just emphasis on everything I've said in this podcast. And, again, with your reminder that my rating sounds are going to be the Carnage noises as I've come to envision them in my own brain.
Yes.
And what we'll do first is we'll do an approximation of what Carnage's voice is in this film out of what I imagine Carnage's voice to be.
That's fair, yeah.
Right. So it gets a very clearly disappointing out of, just to show the disparity there.
Yeah, we're pretty much on the same page here. I don't know what else I can say at this point that hasn't already been said. I love Spider-Man. The concept of Spider-Man and all the characters that go along with him are characters that I hold near and dear to my heart ever since I was a little boy.
Right.
And even as I've grown to be a little man.
Yeah, exactly.
Even as I've grown up to be the little man that I am.
This is why we should be comedy writers.
Yeah, exactly. Even as I've grown to be the little man that I am, I still have kept a great affinity to Spider-Man. And this was just altogether disappointing. Did not live up to any of the expectations that have been made for this character. And with that, I think it very clearly deserves a...
We are Venom.
Out of...
See you, chump.
And I think it's a bummer to have followed up some of our Halloween extravaganza episodes with this just lackluster movie.
Yeah, and again, like, I know the name of our game is, like, go find movies that are going to suck, watch them and laugh at them on tape. But
I think that's the really upsetting thing about it, is that, like, it wasn't even fun bad.
I don't know. I had a lot of fun watching it.
I did, but
And we used to ask that at the beginning. Like, did you enjoy watching the film?
Yeah, no, it is funny. Yeah, I was thinking about that last night, actually, how there's certain things that have just kind of like slowly slipped off of the itinerary.
And I should note, I did enjoy watching this film because I got to roll my eyes a good amount, like really a whole lot of amount.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that's really the thing of it is that, again, I enjoyed it too. In that, again, like I kind of just like constantly was cringing. It was like,
my smug sense of superiority got to fire all kinds of ways today.
But yeah, I don't know. With that being said, I would much rather watch a movie that's bad because it's like ridiculous,
Right.
as opposed to bad because it's cringy.
Yeah. Just like bad in such a way that you just can't even like you over and over again have to come to grips with the fact that like people allow this to go to like film. Like people allow this to go to theaters and either just don't care or are so delusional that they think it should go. It's crazy.
I think also, again, while I didn't expect this movie to be good, I think just because of how much I like the character, I wanted it to be good.
Right.
And again, no matter how much fun I might have seeing it and cringing and poking fun at it, I think there is just a part of me that's like, man, that's such a shame.
Right. Yeah, for me, the big thing is like I don't mind going to a movie theater and paying money for a ticket and contributing to like another Jungle Cruise happening. Like whatever, if it's fucking like Disney Jungle Cruise nonsense, fine. You know, like whatever. I don't mind contributing to that. But honestly, like I really did start like having this really reflective time in the theaters where I was like, oh fuck, dude. Like my ticket money is gonna go to this idea that like, well, whatever we did for the second one, we should it clearly worked. So Venom 3, here we come. You know, it's like oh man, like I am somewhat upset with myself for contributing to Venom 3 when that fucking disaster inevitably happens, as opposed to like Jungle Cruise, which is going to be just as big, every bit as mediocre as like Jungle Cruise was, right? Yeah. But like, whatever, I'm fine with another Jungle Cruise happening. But like, dude, I am just so mad at this movie. I'm so upset that Venom 3 is going to happen in any small part because of me going to see this in theaters and contribute to it. I just haven't felt that way about other films, that we've watched here.
Well, Sony,
maybe The Purge. Anyway, go on.
Sony, you've ruined my night, and I hope that your money was worth it.
Probably.
Well, good night.